Welcome everybody to the very first episode of Into the Stratusphere. My name is Cindy G. You may know me from NoDQ.com, and also I am a special guest host for Teddy Turnbuckles of Russell Joy's interview, questionnaire, recap of Impact Wrestling. Well, before I get into this purpose of this podcast, I wanted to say a little bit myself besides would you know me from? Well, I was born in the Bay Area, San Francisco, raised in Daly City. And in 2002, I moved up north to Solano County. 2010, moved back to the Bay Area. And then in half of 2017, I stayed in Canada for 6 incredible months and then moved back to Solano County once the whole traveler visa expired. So pretty much that's kind of like yours truly in a nutshell. Wrestling fan since 1999 on and off. Independent wrestling fan since 2017. Ever since going to my first ever independent wrestling show, which is obviously in Canada, called Alpha-1 Wrestling. And my first ever independent wrestling show in California is actually All Pro Wrestling. So besides wrestling, I like to do journaling. I like to do yoga, thanks to DDP Yoga. I like to go for a hike. Also got back to playing video games since we are currently in a lockdown thanks to Rona. I like to kind of collect Funko Pops and spending time with my family and friends, and also photography and doing some photo editing arts with some cool features. So that is kind of like a nutshell of yours truly. Now for the plugs, you guys can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and on my YouTube channel at simply_C_, okay? That's simply_C_OK, which you guys can interact with me either ways. And especially, like I said, photo art is one of my favorite hobbies, and you guys can look at my cool arts on my Instagram page. With that being said, you guys, I wanted to say this. A big thank you to the Microphone Messiah, Philip Antoine, and the rest of the Bulletcast team for welcoming me into with open arms and having this platform for me just to speak out and have my voice be heard. That's all that matters. And giving kind of a honest opinion, but in a kind of a positive side, but then there's going to be a little bit of a negative, but not too much, you guys. So I guarantee it, because you guys may know me in the past. I talk when I went out of control, opinionated on social media, but I kind of phase out on it because, as y'all know, I'm getting older. I'm not getting any younger. So, and my whole mind aspect is kind of changing. So I'm glad that I get this opportunity to just do what I feel more comfortably to do, and especially for this segment. Now, Into the Stratusphere is mostly going to be recap from past Impact Wrestling's episode in full depth, but it's just going to be a quick recap, and I'm going to be talking about a little bit of non-WWE segment, which is a little bit of AEW, but mostly about New Japan Pro Wrestling and then other independent wrestling forms too. So for Into the Stratosphere for today, I'm going to be talking a little bit about the AEW Women's Tag Team Cup tournament from a female perspective. Also, I'll be giving you guys my quick pick for the upcoming New Japan Strong's show this Friday. And we're going to get into the recap for night 1 of Impact Wrestling's Emergence. So, before I get into that, keep in mind this is my first ever segment I'm actually going to be doing. And English is not my first language. It's actually Spanish, which even though I was born here, but I was kind of having a speech delay when I was 2. Fun fact, you guys. But I overcome it, and now I just am working on it still. So just please bear with me on that. And also, I'm kind of a bit nervous. You may hear me saying a lot of filler words or words that doesn't make sense. Kind of like your own Cindyism. if it's even a word, but yeah. So anyway, you guys, with that being said, so let's go ahead and kick off with this Into the Stratusphere, named after my favorite female wrestlers of all time, Trish Stratus. That is the inspiration of this segment. Now, first of all, we're going to talk about AEW Women's Tag Team Cup Tournament overall. So when I saw that they're going to put together a tournament, I honestly feel that it was too soon because we are in the middle of a pandemic, and for the fact that like there is not enough AEW women's star because half of the rosters are still stuck in their respective home country due to this whole travel ban. And as of recent, 2 of the female AEW stars are officially released. Well, AEW did not release a statement, but you could tell that their biography has been removed from the AEW roster page, which is Sadie Gibbs and Bea Priestley. So now that they have like who's going to be the next AEW women's stars, who knows what's going to happen. Now, with this tag team cup tournament, the trophy looks way better than WWE's women's battle royal, memorial battle royal, whatever they call it, which that trophy was looking hideous. But this is a better trophy. I'm just saying. And overall, at first they said like the first team gonna enter is the Nightmare Sister, and then they're doing like this whole lottery. I can understand why, because they don't have enough of the female stars from AEW just to be participating in this tournament. So they have to bring in someone that is like not signed with AEW, someone who is a very notable star within the indies. Now, I would say the first episode of AEW's Women's Tag Team Cup Tournament, it was amazing. First of all, you have Veda Scott on commentary, which she did a very amazing job. And fun fact, I did meet Veda, and she's cool as hell. Digress. And so her commentary was amazing, and I just heard as of late that she did do commentary for AEW Dark alongside Tony Schiavone and Taz, so that put a smile to my face because, face it, Veda Scott, she definitely deserved to be in part of the commentary team, so hopefully we could see her more, or maybe as a in-ring competitor. Anyway, so the round 1 match on the first episode was the Nightmare Sisters versus the team of Penelope Ford and Mel, which that match was pretty decent, even though I honestly feel it was kind of, let's just say it was okay, but not like, whoa, blown away by it. But it was pretty decent. I know that we see a face-off between Brandy and Mel because, as y'all know, they were part of a, let's just say, a not-so-great stable called the Nightmare Collective. So pretty much just kind of like a revenge in the making. But it was a pretty decent match. Nightmare Sister did obviously win, which, of course, everybody already knew that it's going to happen. And they move on to the semifinal. And then the second of the match of the first episode you have is the team of Nyla Rose and Ariane Andrews, formerly known as WWE superstar Cameron, which you may remember her as part of the Funkadactyls alongside Naomi, and they were both valeting Brodus Clay, of course. And versus the team of Tay Conti, which you may remember her from NXT, and representing the Dark Order, Anna Jay. And I was pretty impressed with this match. I wanted to give props to Ariane. Is that how you pronounce her name? Ariane or Adrian? Ariane. She did improve much, but not to the extent. I can understand that, it's been, a long time since she got into the ring, ever since she left WWE. And I'm not sure if she done any indie works or not, but she did a pretty decent job. And, of course, with Tay Conti, I love her attitude. I love her drive. Her facial expression is so priceless. It's amazing. And with Anna Jay, I just found that she'd been trained for 11 months. before getting signed to AEW, and she did an impressive job overall. But that match, it was a little bit of like kind of like a botch spot here and there. I know Philip did talk about it on the AEW Dynamite segment with Baby Huey on the past episode In the Click, and I know Philip and Brandon did talk briefly about the women's tag team tournament itself with this match. But overall, it was a pretty decent match. I'm glad TJ won and advanced to the next round, and it was funny that Nyla did attack Arian after the match. So hey, Nyla rather be a singles competitor and chase for that AEW Women's champion off from Hikaru Shida. But yeah, it'll be interesting. And then you have the second episode of the Women's Tag Team Cup Tournament, which I honestly feel that it was not the best, not the worst. It was a pretty decent episode. I don't see any memorable moments overall for both matches. First of all, the match you have is the team of Big Swole and NorCal's own Little Swole, aka Nicole Savoy, which I actually marked the hell out where she made the appearance. And this is her second time being on AEW ever since she was part of a kind of like a during the buy-in at All Out, which it was pretty much put a smile on my face overall to see Nicole Savoy, aka Little Swole. And then they had a match against, which is going to be pretty interesting, the team of Leva Bates and Roche Chanel, which the match itself, it was pretty decent. I mean, I understand that they're trying to put over like whatever they can do. But the only thing I would say is just seeing Nicole Savoy, because I love Nicole. Oh, I mean, Little Savoy. Sorry, Little Swole. Forgive me. But it was a pretty decent match. Not too memorable about it. But I'm glad that the team of Big and Little Swole won and advanced to the next round. And then the second match of the second episode you have is the team of Diamante and Ivelisse versus the team of Rachel Eldridge and Dasha. Which I wanted to say this because I know that people are asking, did Dasha wrestle before or something? Yes. So Dasha did start out as a wrestler when she got signed to NXT. So she did wrestle, but then her TV debut, she actually does ring announcing and backstage. So it was good seeing Dasha getting to the ring, but I know she has a lot of work to do because she's doing good, but I feel it's like a bit too great. Let's just say that. With Rachel Aldridge, she did an amazing job, especially with her technical skills. That was kind of like blown away. But the tag team I was rooting for the most part was Ivelisse and Diamante, which these ladies did an impressive job, even though the match was kind of like a hit or miss, but it was pretty good. And so Ivelisse and Diamante advanced to the semifinal. And so we got to the last episode of the Women's Tag Team Cup Tournament. I know Philip and Brandon will be touch base about this tournament, as well as Philip will be talking about it on the upcoming episode of In the Click alongside Baby Huey. So I'm just going to say this in briefly. So Nightmare Sister versus Big and Little Swole. It was a pretty okay match. The only flaws I would say is Brandy has been flaunting too much of that action figure of herself, aka Little Brand. I mean, I understand product placement. I understand you're trying to promote the action figure, especially they're now available at Walmart, even though it's still hard to find at certain Walmart location. And I know some people have to order it online just to get the hands on the action figures itself. So I understand product places aside, but like I flaunted it over, it just kind of became an overkill. It kind of like not in the mood for this match. So it was pretty much a good match. And of course you have is Britt Baker alongside Rebel and Will Hobbs, Britt Baker's security was there, and they actually provided the distraction to Big Swole, and that's when I think it was Brandy who did the bionic spear, and then pin Big Swole for a 3 count to pick up a victory, I think. I gotta take a look at it. But I know the guys will be clarifying on the upcoming review, so I just want to make it that clear. And so the Nightmare Sister is now heading to the finals. I know there has been some criticism going on, like this whole Women's Tag Team Cup tournament, it's going to be obvious that the Nightmare Sister is going to win, just to put Brandy over, and also with this whole action figure segment. To me, it's just, I feel that they're just helping the upcoming talent to put them over. And that's what the purpose of AEW is all about, is just showcasing the match with a notable tag team against a tag team that you already know that is like well known in the indies. And so the second of the last episode of the match of the semifinals, which you have the team of Ivelisse and Diamante versus Tay Conti and Anna Jay. And I would say this is the match of the night. Like, 4 of these ladies killed it. And I was very blown away. You saw the face-off between Tay and Ivelisse. And, man, I would say this is like the most dedicated match these ladies ever had. And they actually worked so perfectly good together. And I was impressed by it. And so we have is Ivelisse and Diamante did a tag team finish to Anna Jay, and then a 3 count, and then pick up a victory. And that's when Ivelisse and Diamante will be heading to the finals of the AEW Women's Tag Team Cup Tournament against the Nightmare Sister, which is going to be taking place this Saturday at AEW Dynamite. And I thought we were going to be seeing it at All Out, but I guess they would just move it to AEW Dynamite, because I know a lot of people are like kind of like criticizing AEW for not mentioning about the Women's Tag Team Tournament. But on the last episode of AEW Dynamite, they did mention about the Women's Tag Team Tournament during this whole Tag Team Appreciation Night. So that's kind of like something to promote for the tournament itself. Now, we're going to go with the predictions. Honestly, you guys, I'm going with Diamante and Ivelisse to win the Tag Team Cup Tournament. And I wanted to throw in kind of like a bit of theory too. So, if they win the Tag Team Cup Tournament, how about a contract to be part of the AEW's roster? That would be more than a piece of trophy, but a long-term contract. I would love Ivelisse and Diamante to be in AEW. These ladies brought their A game. I like their swag. I love their dedication. I feel like they bring something to the table for the women's division, and that's what we need for the most part. Maybe they could do it as a tag team, or maybe as part of a stable. Who knows? Or as a singles competitor. But this is all the endless possibility for that. And I have a feeling that I feel that Allie's going to be the one that's going to turn on Brandy, causing the match. And it looks like we're possibly going to be seeing Brandy versus Allie at All Out. Kind of like a rematch from last year's Fyter Fest, I believe. It's been a while, you guys, and it's been a long day. But with that being said, I think that's probably going to be happening because they're continuing on with this whole storyline. You know, Allie involving with QT Marshall, and then this whole Natural Nightmare and the Nightmare family, and then the Nightmare sisters, and then everything will be coming to fruition. So we'll see what's going on with this whole segment altogether with this interesting storyline. So overall, Women's Tag Team Cup Tournament was pretty outstanding. And for my ranking of like best to not so best, the last episode of the Women's Tag Team Cup Tournament, the semifinal, then you have as the first episode of the Women's Tag Team Cup Tournament. It's a lot of like, tongue twisting, you guys, just saying. And also in the bottom would be the second episode, the one with Ivelisse and Diamante versus Stasha and Rachel Eldridge, But overall, I was very impressed by it. I cannot wait to see what's going to happen this Saturday. So I'm looking forward to this. No matter what is the outcome for it, I'm going to be happy about it. And you guys can check out my live tweet because, honestly, I live tweet all the time. Anyway, so with that being said, let's go ahead and move on to New Japan Pro Wrestling. So this Friday is going to be the finals for the New Japan Cup USA during the New Japan Strong, and I'm very excited for this. So I'm going to read which match is going to be, which they already been announced, and I'm going to say for my pick. So the match has been already announced. You have is the tag team match between Danny Limelight and the DKC, which you guys see them at New Japan Lines Break Collision. They're going to be taking on Rocky Romero and making his New Japan Pro Wrestling debut, Adrian Quest, which, for those of you in the Bay Area know, Adrian Quest did appear in the last APW show, which is Game Recognized Game, back in November of 2019. And I believe he did train with the Santino Bros Academy. Correct me if I'm wrong, you guys. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry, but just let me know. So I'm very intrigued with this match, but for my pick, I feel that Adrian and Rocky will pick up a victory over DKC and Danny Limelight, but it's going to be a great, possibly an opening of a match or so. Next up you have is another tag team match, which you have is the team of Brody King and Flip Gordon versus Bullet Club, Chase Owens, and the returning, the Switchblade, Jay White. I noticed that Jay did hint a teaser throughout social media, mainly on Instagram story, putting the date of August 29th. That's when the final Summer Struggle Tour, that's going to be taking place at Jingu Stadium, which is a notable baseball field in Tokyo, Japan. He's been teasing a lot. He's been teasing like his airplane ride to some destination. Honestly, you guys, at first I thought Jay White is living in New Zealand, but it turns out he actually lives in Florida, which I was surprised. And now he's in New Japan Strong. So I'm guessing the leader of Bullet Club is here in US of A alongside God, Haku Leo, Kenta, and Chase Owens. So we are still in full fruition when it comes to Bullet Club. And for my pick, it's going to be the obvious. I'm going with Bullet Club. I mean, there's no way in hell they're going to be loose to... I guess now that they're not associated with Marty Scurll due to this whole Me Too controversy, and a lot has been going on lately. So I'm guessing that Flip and Brody, they're just going to be shying away and just do their own thing, which is a good thing. But seeing them as a tag team, that would be pretty cool. So I'm excited for this match altogether. And then the match has been announced, which is the New Japan Cup USA Finals, which you have is David Finlay versus Kenta. And the winner gets to face Jon Moxley for the IWGP United States Heavyweight title, which I'm excited. And my obvious pick, because I touched base on it on my Instagram live TV, talking about New Japan Pro Wrestling's press conference regarding the New Japan Strong, and my prediction, I'm actually going to be picking Kenta to win, and also having Kenta to beat Jon Moxley for the IWGP United States, because number one, Jon Moxley's still with AEW, and I'm surprised that AEW and New Japan has some sort of an agreement to just have Moxley appear just one time. And it looks like he's going to be dropping the title to Kenta if he wins. And plus, if Kenta beats Moxley, he's going to be the first ever IWGP United States as a Japanese. Or a Japanese IWGP United States champion, of course. Just whatever you guys can come up with the term or anything like that. Like I said, it's been a long day, but I'm going to touch base briefly after I'm done with this segment and the recap altogether before going in my plugs or anything like that. So I'm excited for this upcoming show for New Japan Pro Wrestling. I'm looking forward to it altogether. I know that in 2 weeks it's going to be the continuation of the New Japan Pro Wrestling Summer Struggle Tour leading up to at Jingu Stadium on August 29th. So I'm excited altogether. But yeah, anyway, so enough about AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling. Let's go ahead and go on to the recap of Night 1 of Impact Wrestling's Emergence. So we have is the video package promo of the special, and then you have your typical Impact Wrestling intro. And so the opening of the match you have is the triple threat match for the X Division Championship match. You have is the current champ, the Finesse himself, Chris Bay, versus TJP with Falaba versus Rohit Raju, aka the Desi Hitman. And I must say, I am very blown away with this X Division title match altogether. These guys are very incredibly talented. And I must say with TJP, like, Jesus. He, like I said, he is one of those good technical wrestlers that he could pull up in any other form of submission holds, despite, his questionable attitude and antic on social media, but digress on it. So it was a pretty much an impressive, moment. You have TJP applies the abdominal stretch to Chris Bay, and of course, he did the Virgin Northern Light suplex for the 2 counts. And then, of course, that he's done most of the work to attack Chris Bay, while Rohit Raju was standing there, kind of okay, you'll take care of it. And then Chris Bay did attack TJP, and then just standing there, taking care of business, and that's when he did attack, while Chris Bay was kind of, a bit, distracted by Falaba. Don't know what's going on, but yeah. So, it was a lot of, great back and forth action. It was just mostly with TJP and Chris Bay. And I would say TJP did apply the double leg takedown, and then he did the glory special / surfboard combination. And then while he did do this submission, he did apply the modify sharpshooter, where he applied the sharpshooter to Rohit Raju, and then doing the surfboard to Chris Bay is kind of the whole special of it all together. So it's one thing that it is impressive altogether. So then again, a lot of counter back and forth between TJP and mainly Chris Bay, and with a lot of going on back and forth action. And then right when TJP got on the turnbuckle, about to do the top rope superplex to Chris Bay, Rohit Raju did push over TJP, and that's when Raju did the double stomp to Chris Bay with the 3 count, and y'all, holy crap, Rohit Raju is your new Impact Wrestling's X Division champion. What in the hell, you guys? I was left speechless, shocked, and I wrote WTF on Twitter. That was the most shocking move I've ever seen it. And it's too soon for Chris Bay to drop the X Division title because he just won at Slammiversary against Willie Mack. And now we have Raju being the new champ. Now, I can understand why, because this is going to be a continuing storyline between Chris and Rohit, because, mind you, ever since Chris Bay won the X Division title, Rohit was kind of playing a bit of a manipulation to Chris Bay, so that he'll be helping him, taking out on TJP for, past matches. And I know they were tagging together against TJP and Falaba. And then this mess happened, and then, of course, Rohit, being the mastermind, wanted the X Division title. So we're going to be seeing an ongoing feud between Rohit and Chris, and it's just going to be kind of a we'll be seeing kind of like a rematch, possibly just like, the upcoming episodes of Impact Wrestling, maybe leading up to Bound for Glory, which is going to be in October, but everything is going to be kind of like an endless possibility altogether. Alrighty, and then you have is the promo from the Good Brothers talking about the upcoming match against Ace Austin and Madden Fulton. Is your typical standard promo. And then you have is the Wrestle House segment, which is not too much to say. You have is Johnny Bravo playing with the stuffed Pomeranian animal, which kind of reminiscing of Taya Valkyrie's dog named Bowie. And of course, Crazy Steve playing with the stuffed monkey, which it was kind of like a cute moment. And then you have is kind of like Larry D, like still under his spell of Rosemary, being all prim and proper, kind of very clean, which it kind of sets AC Romero off a bit. So this is like your typical Wrestle House segment. I know it's just in preparation for the upcoming Wrestle House match between Kylie Ray versus Taya Valkyrie. So, which I'll get into that in a second. And now we got is the TNA World Heavyweight Championship match, which you have the current champ, Moose, versus Trey Miguel. Not too much to say. I mean, you have Moose pretty much taking over Trey for the most part. You have, it's like mostly a lot of like heavy hitter from Moose. But I must say this, Trey Miguel put one hell of a fight, which he did use the thrust kick, followed by the Lucha Libre arm drag, even though Moose did block it, and then he did the drop kick to Trey, and then, of course, Moose with the blister chop to the big bell throw, and then that's when Trey Miguel did the heavy body shot, and then followed by with the forearm smash, and then he go for a crossbody block, but of course Moose did counter with the fall away slam. So pretty much this is kind of like a chance for Trey to not give up in a fight against Moose, who is like, a tall Johnny per se. And so at the end of it, Moose threw Trey into the turnbuckle, connect with the spear, and of course Moose did retain a title, which I'm not too surprised by it. But I wanted to give mad respect to Trey Miguel for putting one heck of a fight no matter what. And afterwards, it's an obvious EC3 made a surprise attack with the reverse DDT. And he left with the TNA World Championship. So it is your typical standard like showcase match. As I mentioned it, well, I know some of the guys did mention it in the past that the TNA World Heavyweight Champion is kind of like the Impact version of the AEW's FTW Championship, but digress on that. Anyway, so after that, you have is your usual kind of like segment between Hernandez and, of course, Bay Area's favorite, Reno Scum, talking about this whole money situation where Reno Scum got the role of Dinero to Hernandez from Rhino on like last week's episode of Impact Wrestling. So that was like your typical segment. And then you have is an incredible promo from EY, which I was very blown away from like how he got from where he's at. Especially he did took a jab, when he stated, I was elite before being elite was cool. So pretty much it's kind of like a jab towards the AEW elite, like pretty much the Young Bucks perhaps, and Kenny Omega and Cody, because mind you, Cody and Young Bucks were in Impact Wrestling in the past, but in like separate years. Of course, the Young Bucks being part of D-Generation Me, and of course Cody, just Cody with Brandy. So it was a pretty interesting like promo from EY. At the same time, I know that people was like, is it necessary to throw jabs? I mean, AEW has been throwing a bit of a subliminal message jab towards WWE. I mean, it's nothing new, so why not have Impact Wrestling doing a little fun for it too? And then you have is this flashback to Kurt Angle versus Eric Young stretchers match from 2015, which that's at the time I stopped watching Impact Wrestling. So here's the thing, you guys. To quote my buddy Jeff Meacham of NoDQ.com, I did start watching Impact Wrestling in 2011, and then I stopped completely. And I would say by the end of 2015-ish or something, it's when the whole Aces and Eights situation going on. That's when I kind of tuned out of Impact Wrestling, and also like I would say either that or Maria Kanellis pinning Alley, and that's when I completely stopped watching Impact Wrestling altogether because it was going downhill. So I don't remember most part about Impact Wrestling, but I started watching Impact Wrestling again ever since watching Slammiversary and the episode after Slammiversary. So as a disclaimer, y'all, for those of you haven't even kept up with me on my Instagram live or like anywhere else. Anyway, guys, so digress on everything. And then you have is Jimmy Jacobs interviewing Willie Mack and then interrupted by Brian Myers. And that's when Jimmy Jacobs did interview Brian Myers. And of course, he did took a jab about Vince McMahon. He's like, I don't want to hear like this 70-year-old, well, man who is over control or something like that. I know, of course, as I mentioned, nothing new with Impact Wrestling, throwing jab, not just with AEW, but also with WWE as well, because you have like a couple of these former WWE stars that made their return to Impact Wrestling ever since Slammiversary happens. So it was a pretty interesting interview. And then you have your typical Heath Slater's hashtag Heath for Impact vignette going on. It was a pretty cute vignette. And yeah. And so oh, okay, so I saw the note already as I type it in. So he said, Brian Myers, back to this whole Brian Myers interview. He said it's disgusts me that major decisions in this business are made by some out-of-touch 70-year-old man. So yes, he is taking a jab of Vincent Kennedy McMahon. I like to say his full name instead of calling him Vince McMahon. It's whatever, just to say it being properly nice way, but I digress. But yeah. Anyway, so after that and commercial break, you have is a tag team match between the Good Brothers versus Ace Austin and Madman Fullerton. And that was a pretty good tag team match, which you have started off with Anderson and Ace Austin, where Anderson did kick Austin in the gut, followed by this whole hammer down on the back of Ace Austin's neck. A lot of back and forth with the forearm smash repeatedly to the straight right jacket and all this stuff been going on. And then, of course, you have Gallows facing Madman Fullerton, which it was pretty much mostly a hoss fight in making, and I was very blown away. So you got Gallows slapping Fullerton in the face with this whole lariat exchange, and then haymaker exchange, and corner clothesline. A lot of back and forth going on, and it was pretty incredible overall with this whole tag team, especially both teams are like having this whole animosity towards each other. And who really thought that this match should end in a no DQ, because I feel that this would be a perfect continuing storyline between these four gentlemen. But no, you guys, surprisingly enough, Gallows did drop Madman Fullerton with the roundhouse kick, followed by Ace Austin with the forearm shiver, even though Gallows did make the blind tag, short up reversal, and then that's when Anderson did uppercut Ace Austin, and that's when they did the Magic Killer, and the Good Brothers did win the match. So it looks like this is the closing end of the feud between the Good Brothers and Ace Austin alongside Madman Fullerton. What's next for them? So I would like Ace Austin to be back into the title picture, especially challenging Eddie Edwards for the Impact World Champion. That would be something to see, because I know like the last time they were face to face was kind of at Slammiversary, which was pretty interesting. But hey, you never know what to expect. He may be going to be the one that's going to challenge Eddie Edwards next week on night 2 of Emergence. Who knows? All this endless possibility. Regarding with the Good Brothers, I have a feeling with the Good Brothers, they should just continue on with feuding with different tag teams. Maybe a continuation feud with Reno Scum. I'm all for it. Or maybe with the Rascals. That'll be interesting. And then have them feuding with different teams up until being part of the title picture at Bound for Glory, which is just like almost a month and a half away. So I just want to let y'all know that would be something I would love to see. Anyway, you guys, so enough about that. So besides this tag team grudge match, then you have is another Russell House segment with this whole like who stole the Diener's beer. It's kind of funny because, you know, Rosemary, she kind of like did her kind of like a possessive like demon type magic, and you know she's the one that took the Diener's beer. And it was funny because he's like, who took the beer? Who took the beer? Just like with South Park with the whole, they took the job. Which, by the way, I have not watched South Park in like years, but it kind of brings back some of the nostalgic feels to it. But that was the only segment of it. And then you have is, of course, Susie kind of running into cousin Jake Diener, which she was like, Jacob? And then Jake said to Susie, Susan, which it was interesting. And then Susie walked off kind of like awkwardly after what happened with like this whole impromptu date because of Susie still being possessed by Su Yung, which Susie does not remember because of course it was Su Yung. But like I said, I'm waiting till like when we're going to be seeing Susie snap to be back as a full Su Yung. I know she did change her Twitter attitude for the most part. Because, like, you thought it was Su Yung because, like, with her letters of, like, space, and then you have a Susie tweeting out for the most part. But I think that would be pretty interesting to see what's going to happen next. And I know she is still tagging alongside Kylie Rae for the Knockouts division. But I would like to see them in the Knockouts tag team match against once this whole Russell House segment is over. But anyway, enough about that because I'm kind of talking about Russell House for the most part, like in a positive light. But anyway, let's go ahead and move on to the match that I was very, very blown away. That's right. The match between Kylie Rae versus Taya Valkyrie. I must say this, you guys, ever since, you know, this whole Russell House segment and they had this whole match time! Yes. For those of you who know me, at past independent wrestling shows around the Bay Area, you know I have a very loud vocal cord where I can boo to the 9. So, yeah, I can say match time loud. But anyway, this by far the best women's match ever seen in the Russell House segment. Actually, pretty much the best match I've seen since the debut of Russell House. Taya and Kylie Rae did a very impressive job. You have is Kylie Rae did the tilt-a-whirl, then followed by a super kick to Taya Valkyrie, and then of course Taya did the fisherman suplex with the 2 count, and you know she did yell to Rosemary, "What did you get of me?" or something like that. It's like a meme around social media now because, of course, the year 2020 is like a hellhole at this time. But digress. Anyway, a lot of back and forth going on, and the match was actually more than 3 minutes, but I'm actually impressed because when it comes to Impact Wrestling, they know how to treat the Knockouts division right, and they did exactly by then. And so I know you have Rosemary as a referee, and she got distracted with this whole situation with Johnny Bravo, and then of course with Crazy Steve, like she glanced over and there is Crazy Steve, but Taya was telling Rosemary just to focus a bit. So for then, you know, you can tell like Rosemary was purposely doing a slow count to Kylie, but then mostly a fast count to Taya, of course. I mean, they're tag team partners. And so at the end, Kylie did the super kick, And with Rosemary doing the 3 count with hesitation, meaning she did 1, 2, and then she paused for like 5 seconds and 3. Kylie Rae won the match against Taya Valkyrie. And again, one of the best matches I've seen in Russell House segment. And plus, this is the only women's match out of night 1 of Emergence. So Taya and Kylie Rae, they did a very fantastic job. Anyway, y'all, let's go ahead to the main event match, which is the rematch for the Impact Wrestling Tag Team Championship match, which you have the current champ, the Motor City Machine Guns, versus the North. This is a pretty solid main event match, especially you can see that Ethan Page is not too happy for the fact that him and Josh lost the title since they were the longest reigning tag team champion, surpassing Beer Money for 383 days. So a lot of back and forth going on. So you have Sabin did the back fist into the turnbuckle, and then you have Josh Alexander did tag Page, where Josh Alexander did the knee lift, followed by with Page did the shoulder tackle, and then a tilt-a-whirl slam to Alex Shelley. A lot of like flying knee drop and a lot of high flying moves from Motor City Machine Guns, like very impressive. And you could tell that Ethan Page, like with his hybrid wrestling at technicality, you know, he can like outtake anybody. And then with Josh Alexander, which mind you, in his home country of Canada, he is dubbed as a king of Canadian strong style with his strong style powerhouse moves that Josh Alexander did. It was very incredible altogether. He did the reverse out of the Irish whip from Alex Shelley to a DDT. It was amazing, guys. Like words cannot express it when it comes to this whole tag team action, especially how much they improve like in the tag team division, and these guys killed it. So at the end, Sabin did the basement drop kick, and then of course the serial super kick, Motor City Machine Gun give to Ethan Page, and then haluva kick to an apron enziguri combination. And that's when the Motor City Machine Gun did the skull and bones to pick up the victory, and the Motor City Machine Guns did retain the Impact Wrestling World Tag Team Champion. And I'm glad they did, because for the fact that you have is the incredible tag team veterans, been in a company for so many years, they could challenge anybody. They could even challenge the Rascals. They could challenge Ace Austin and Madman Fulton. Possibly challenging TJP and Fallah Bahh. Or once Russell House is over, possibly with the Deaners. But hey, how about this? Motor City Machine Gun versus Reno Scum. That should be the next contender for the long run, because I would like to see that happening. And then you could definitely throw in the Good Brothers to the mix, have Motor City Machine Guns versus the Good Brothers, to kind of like a feud that will lead away to Bound for Glory. I'm all for it. Now, regarding with the future of the North, I honestly feel that Ethan Page and Josh Alexander should go on their separate ways and be a singles competition. I would love to see Josh Alexander be in a title picture more, possibly challenging Eddie Edwards for the Impact World Championship, because he has a lot to offer. Like I said, he is dubbed as the king of Canadian strong style. And of course his nickname is the Walking Weapon. And like I said, he's a very talented, incredible guy. Like I said, there's like a lot of lost words to say about Josh Alexander, because I am one of Josh Alexander's fan, and I'm a huge fan of All Ego Ethan Page. Now, regarding with Ethan Page, I would see him possibly in the X Division title picture, because I know he's been working out so much, especially like seeing his vlogs and the before and after picture on his Instagram story. I could definitely see him getting into the X Division title picture. I know a lot of people wanted him to be in a kind of like in a Impact World Championship picture, but honestly, I would see him in the X Division before going to the Impact World Championship picture. That's going to be pretty impressive altogether, but you never know what's going to expect in the future of, Between the North. So with that being said, night 1 of Impact Wrestling Emergence was amazing. What should I give? I'm going to give it like a thumbs up, thumbs down, kind of like, a tribute to the movie critics, Ibra Roper, or like other like movie critics. So night 1 of Emergence, 2 thumbs up, you guys. Match of the night altogether would have to be the opening of the match between Rohit Raju, Chris Bay, and TJP for the X Division Championship match. That was the match of the night. I was very blown away by these guys. Did an amazing job. A lot of combination of technicality, high fly, and hybrid altogether. That, I love it. Anyway, guys, that is it for the recap of night 1 of Impact Wrestling's Emergence. So night 2 is going to be taking place next week. So for the announcement they have for the match, you have is Brian Myers versus Willie Mack. And then you have is EC3 speaking out about his action and why he took the TNA World Championship. And then you have is Eddie Edwards Impact World Championship Open Challenge match. And then you have is the first ever 30-minute Knockouts Iron Man match for the Impact Knockouts Championship match between the champ Deonna Purrazzo versus Jordan Grace. And I cannot wait to watch this all together. Anyway, you guys, with that being said, that is it for the recap for Impact Wrestling and for the show Into the Stratusphere. Thank you so much for listening or watching or whichever form you can find. And yeah, you guys, I'm excited to see how the show is going to turn over. I know for a fact that, well, let's just say this. Today has been a rough day, you guys. As you all know, I am currently living in Solano County. And unfortunately, Solano County has been affected by the El Niño complex fire that is already hitting Vacaville. I'm actually 15 to 20 minutes away from the wildfire that is happening. So as of now, we are on alert for a possible mandatory evacuation. So have no fear. I have all my stuff packed up, ready to go. I have my recording devices. I have my microphone, my headset, and my laptop with me on hand, alongside with my purse, which, like, as soon as, like, I'm done recording and get everything together, that's when there may be a chance that we may be evacuated. But I hope not. Let's just say this. But also, my heart goes out to everybody in the affected areas during the wildfire, including Solano County as well. I actually spoke with Grizzly Carl Jack, who is a Vacaville resident. I'm glad him and his dog Zero did made it out okay. And he's doing okay, you guys. Just wanted to let y'all know. Make sure to follow Grizzly Carl Jack on Instagram and also on Twitter as well to see the latest update from him as well. And so, with that being said, you guys, I feel so much better when I'm doing podcasts altogether, despite the whole, like, crazy time we're living in, like, with the pandemic and then everything else going together. But it's kind of like more of an outlet together. But anyway, let's go ahead and just to end the show altogether. So, again, you guys can follow me on social media at simply_C_OK. That's SIMPLY_C_OK on Instagram, Twitter, and on my YouTube channel. And feel free to DM me if you like some feedbacks, like what should I work on, or if you like the show or anything like that, or even email or send a DM to the Bullcast as well. That way they can actually let me know what I need to work on. But hey, like I said, this is the first ever podcast segment. I'm actually doing this all together. And yeah, you guys. And do not forget, I'm going to do a quick plug since I am affiliated with two shows. So first of all, make sure to follow Teddy Turnbuckle on Twitter and the YouTube channel, and make sure to follow Wrestle Joy on social media on Twitter, YouTube channel, and on the website. And do not forget to check out NoDQ.com on the website and social media, NoDQ, DOTCOM, on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. With that being said, you guys, thank you so much for listening or watching or whichever. Hope you guys please be safe out there, especially we're still in a pandemic, and also the crazy wildfire that's happening going on in certain areas. Remember, stay hydrated, wash your hands for 20 to 30 seconds. Please wear your mask at all times, no excuses, especially we have the bad air quality. And also make sure to follow the safety protocol as well, you guys. For that, I am Cindy G here, and hope you guys have an incredible week or whichever, and also happy SummerSlam weekend. Cheers, y'all.